Welcome to our Just Take a Look today. It is a fabulous Saturday. We have a wonderful lineup of people that are going to be sharing with you today. My name is Amanda. I have the pleasure of interviewing Betsy here in just a little bit. And then, of course, finishing up today is going to be the fabulous Roger Hill from Shaklee Corporate, which is always a pleasure to have him with us. And he's just wonderful. Thank you for being here, Roger, and taking time. I know your hair goals haven't quite met mine yet, but we just love to see how it's progressing along. So thank you so much for being here. Okay, so if you are joining for the first time, thank you for being here and taking the time. We are just delighted to come together as a team and welcome you and share with you something that we're all very, very passionate about. And so we just want you to know the opportunities available to you. And so I'm going to start out with a short video that shares a little bit about Shaklee Corporate. So thank you for, let me make sure I push the button right. I want to make sure you can hear it. Okay. All right, I just love that video. It's just a snapshot, a little preview of what you're going to hear about today. But before we do that, I would love to interview Betsy a little bit. So Betsy, if you can come off mute.
I am off mute, yes.
There you are. You're ready. You're on top of it. So Betsy, we had a chance to talk about your life before Shaklee and then after. So if you don't mind sharing with everybody, where were you at in your life when you were introduced to Shaklee?
Well, Amanda, thank you. I love that video. It reminds me of why I've been doing this for the last 35 years. I was working for a multinational corporation in outside sales. 4 daughters were all in college at once, or the one was a senior and getting ready to go to college, and we were having a really hard time getting the money together for making sure that was going to happen for everybody. And a friend came over and she said, well, you know, you might as well just stay unemployed because, you know, you could get more scholarship money that way. So I went out and found this corporate job in sales, which I had never done sales before. And the company was terrible. Its values were terrible. They were selling products that weren't good, and they cheated their salespeople. But I was making tons of money, and I decided to stick with it because I needed to earn that money. Then at one of the meetings, networking meetings, I ran into a woman who was also a women's college graduate. It was a special meeting for women in business. And she and I started talking, and she said, would you like to learn more about nutrition? And I sat there and thinking, my life is a wreck. I was in early stages of menopause, and I was just falling apart. My hair was falling out. I had headaches all the time, and it was really a very severe menopause experience. And I said, yes, I would love to. So she called me 3 days later and made an appointment, came downtown to my business office here in Seattle, and we went out to lunch, and she came with a basket of goodies. And she also came with a questionnaire, and she started asking me all these questions about my health. And I had a perfect score because I said to her, I had breast cancer when I was 34 years old. And that was just unheard of in 1971. And or very few people had breast cancer in those days, certainly not like today. And so I had cleaned up my diet. I was eating perfectly and I was exercising. I was doing all the right things. And she said, well, maybe you're still not getting quite enough nutrition. Maybe there's some gaps. Maybe these things would help. So I took everything in her basket home with me, the protein powder, the Vital E, the B, the C, the alfalfa, and calcium. I think that's what it was. Yes. And then thought, oh my God, I just spent $80. that's what that basket full of stuff cost in those days. A little less than now. And then 3 days later, she called me up and she says, well, how are you liking the protein? What are you mixing it with? Well, I hadn't even opened the can yet, of course. So she did everything right. If you listen to my story, you'll hear how she did everything right. She asked the questions, she got the answers, she made a suggestion. I went home with the products, she followed up. She gave me 2 cassette tapes, one about the business and one about nutrition. And I started listening to them. And I started mixing the protein powder, and my health changed so dramatically in a month. I got 3 extra hours every day. In the evening, I was falling asleep in my dinner plate every night. I was exhausted from this very taxing outside sales job. And I went over to her house one day with a splitting headache, and I said, did you have any aspirin? She said, well, no, but I do have some extra B complex and some calcium. Why don't you try that? Well, I said, you mean she has no aspirin in her medicine cabinet? And then I thought, I'd kind of like to live like this. She was home. She had been playing the flute all morning. She'd taken a walk with her friends. She was a writer. And I thought, geez, maybe I could do this. Maybe I could do this too. So I invited her to come over to my living room and talk to my friends about all these products that had made me feel so much better. And slowly she came to the office and met with my colleagues one by one until finally she said, okay, Betsy, I've done meetings for you for 7 times now. It's not time for you to do your own meeting. So I screwed up my courage and we started having monthly meetings about the business. And I decided I was going to equal my income in this multi-level marketing, in this corporate company. And by 1989, that was in 1985 when I met her. And by 1989, I qualified as a director. And 6 months later, I qualified for my first car. And I went to my boss and I said, I'm going to leave this company and pursue something else. And he said, what is that? And I told him that I was going to join the Shaklee Corporation. And he said, you're going to sell soap and pills? I said, yes, I am. And I went back to my desk and finished off some of my final things there. And this guy came over to me and he said, how much does it cost to get into this thing? My wife needs something to do. So he wrote a check for $2,000 and got her the makeup, all the makeup and skincare stuff. Well, of course, she wasn't coachable.
Wow. And
she didn't ask for it. And then I just went on from there. And so go ahead, Joy. Amanda, you probably have another prompt for me.
No, this is just wonderful. So I love how you went from being in a career that you hated, full stress, and it was showing in your physical health, even though you were doing the right things in terms of eating right and exercise and trying doing the best to take care of yourself. There was still more. And you recognize that. And so not only did you have a health transformation, but also you took away so much stress and you got to create the lifestyle that you wanted. Which I think is beautiful. And I think I would love for you to share a little bit about your lifestyle now and just the changes that have happened because of that decision that you made, in 1985.
Yes. I just want to say one little thing about building a business. It's hard, especially when you have another full-time job. I know there are a lot of people who go into Shaklee because they don't want to be working where they are, and they have to fit this in the cracks. And I remember singing a little song, $33 PV every day, $33 PV, make a list and make your calls, $33 PV every day. I don't know if any of you older people remember those songs we used to sing to ourselves, but it was my absolute goal. My absolute goal was to have 3 appointments with brand new people every single week. And sometimes that took an awful lot of phone calls and things to do to get those 3 appointments. But by just doggedly doing that, and there were many times when I didn't have faith. That's why the cassette tapes were so important. And coming on to programs like this now, to build the belief in myself that this would be possible. Building belief in your own self is probably the most important thing you can do to become successful in this thing. So today, if someone new asked me, what do you do? What do you do in life? I said, well, I'm primarily a writer, but my travel money comes from my network marketing business in selling Shaklee. And it is true. I'm still earning about, I would say, between $2,000 and $3,000 a month. Some from my retail sales out of my inventory, and then the rest from my bonus checks. And it's just a wonderful addition to. I mean, living on an annuity. I have 2 husbands; they've both died. I mean, I have the wonderful thing about Shaklee is I have this whole circle of friends, people to rely on, support system. It's not like I'm lonely. I'm 83 years old and I have just this fantastic life. I write every day and I hike and I ski and I dance and it's wonderful. So, and I have traveled the world. Some with Shaklee, but mostly my own choices of, like long walks, 100-mile walk in England and, walking the Amalfi Coast in Italy. And it's, yeah. So it's a wonderful life. I'm taking my first trip. I've had my shots. I'm leaving the next Friday for Mexico, where I have a timeshare. So I'm very excited.
Congratulations.
Getting out of town.
Betsy, you are wonderful. We're going to have you back to hear more of your story because I just love hearing you talk, and just knowing your backstory and just hearing about your life now is so inspiring, because that's one of my goals, is to be able to travel and do all the things and have that time freedom. And I've already experienced it in a little bit, and I can't wait to experience the fullness. So Betsy,
keep going. Keep going. Never stop.
That's right. Never stop. Wonderful. Okay. So, Roger, now we get the pleasure of bringing you on and hearing from you, sharing more about Shaklee, because I'm sure after hearing Betsy, if this is the first time you've been introduced to this company, you're probably going to want to hear a few more details. And of course, we get to have the pleasure of having someone from Shaklee corporate office, Roger Hill, to do that for us.